Hi everyone, welcome to the channel and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be removing the rear bumper on my BMW M5. Now the reason I'm removing it is one of the parking sensors has gone down. I think it's either that one or that one, can't quite remember at the moment. But either way, we're going to have to near enough completely remove the rear bumper to replace it. So I'm going to make this video, show you where all the fixings are, the nuts and bolts and bits and pieces you need to undo to get in there, and hopefully it will be of help to some of you. Okay, so first things first, you're going to have to get into the boot and remove these panels. You've got one either side of the boot and they're held in by two fixings that you can undo with a flathead screwdriver. So you literally just turn it to the side, like that, and they pop out. Very easy. Take those out of the way. Now you're going to have to lift your boot carpet up, or boot floor, up out of the way. I'll just hook that up there for a second. And then you should be able to pop these out. Just like that. Oops. And you should be able to pull that up, all come out all together, all in one piece. And then behind there, we're going to be looking for some Torx bolts. Now, I can see them here. You've got one there and one there. So to undo those, we'll be using a T30 Torx bit. So make sure you've got one of these. T30. And yeah, so we've got two on this side. One here, one there. And we've obviously got the same on the other side here. So we'll get on with removing those. Okay, so we've got those four bolts out now. Now, what I've done, I've dragged the car up slightly, just to give me a bit more room around the wheel arch, and we're going to take some bolts out in here. So, if you look up there, we've got 8mm bolts scattered down here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 all together, and that one up there. So we're going to take all four of those out, and we've got to do that on both sides to release the sides of the bumpers. So let's do that. Okay guys, you should be able to do this without jacking it up. It does just give you a little bit more room around the wheel. But if you haven't got a jack, you can do it with an 8mm socket and ratchet. You've just got a little bit less. You've got a little bit less room. Now we've got to do the same on the other side. Take the 4 8mm out. I've only jacked up one side of the car, so I only jacked up the other side, but it still gives me a bit more room just because the car's that bit higher off the floor. So obviously, if you've only got one jack, you can only jack up one side at a time. So you should be all right with that. You can get in here quite comfortably and undo the 4 bolts. As you can see, you've just got a bit more of a gap between the wheel and the wheel arch. So that should be enough. Okay guys, so we're underneath the car now. We're going to have to take this clip out here. This is a push clip, and you may have a tool to pull these out. You just pull the centre out of it and that releases, or you can put a long nose pliers in there or something like that. I tend to, when I can access the back of it, I tend to put a flat screwdriver in the centre and just push the centre out. As you can see, that's coming down now. It just means you don't damage the end of it, and you can reuse it, which is always handy. So you can see, there you go, that's out, and we'll be able to reuse that clip. But yeah, I believe there's a tool that probably slots in underneath here, and I haven't got it with me today. So there we go. So that's the bumper side starting to come loose. So I'm going to pull that clip out the other side as well, and then we'll carry on. Okay, so still underneath the car, there's a rear diffuser there, and we've got this plastic panel that comes off the bumper, goes all the way back. So there's a few bolts in this. One's actually missing there. So we've got, should be one there, 2, 3, 4 bolts in this that I can see. So we'll remove those 4 8mm bolts again, and that should be our bumper almost off. Okay, so that's the bottom of the bumper loose. Ooh, a few stones in there. So let's see what else is holding it. Okay, so that's all the bolts out. The last thing you have to do is pull the sides out because they are clipped in. You just gently pull them out. You'll see these clips secure it. So you've got holes in the top of the bumper there, all the way along it, and then they're pushed in to that. Just a firm tug, and they should release. And it's the same on this side. So just get the corner of the bumper, gently pull it, and it will release. Okay, so everything should be off. Now it's time to drop the bumper off the back of it. So I've laid a mat down just to save the paint. We'll see if it comes off. So that's the bumper off on the floor. Now you do have the wiring obviously for the PDC sensors. So that's up here, that unplugs here. So make sure you let it down onto the floor gently so you can get to this and actually unplug it, because you don't want to break your wires. So that's that there. Be unplugging that's quite easy. There's just 2 little tabs, one top and one bottom, and off it comes. Like that. So the reason I'm doing this is to replace a parking sensor. So if you're doing it for the same reason, I'll show you how to remove them. So underneath here, there's a little tab that you have to press in, and then you can release the plug. And then here and here, those tabs are actually holding the sensor in place. So what you need to do is lift those, got 2 of them, and you should be able to pull the sensor out then. Lift it with your thumb. There you go. That's the sensor out. As easy as that. Now when you do fit a new one, just be very careful to clean this hole out thoroughly, because you don't want any dirt or grit in there. So for anyone who's interested, this is the reason I was taking my bumper off to replace a parking sensor. So I had this fault code, 9E3B, 9E3 Bravo, supply voltage for parking aid sensors. Okay, So what they actually turned out to be is that one of my sensors, which was the near side inner one, was short circuit, so it was short to earth. So the sensor had failed completely, and what it would do is knock the parking sensors out, so they wouldn't operate on the front or the rear, and it would just come up with a fault code up there. So I'm going to actually delete this code now, and hopefully my parking sensors will be working. I'll know straight away because they'll show up on the screen up there, which they weren't doing. Okay, so that fault code wouldn't clear before, so that's a good start. Now what I'll do is knock it into reverse and see what happens. And there we go. So yeah, we've got parking sensors operating straight away. Now I didn't have that before. Button's also working, which is good. And that seems about right to me. So let's just make sure we haven't had a fault code come back up here. No, we've got nothing there. So it looks like we're sorted, which is great news. Now, just in case you're wondering what module you need to plug into on these BMWs, because I know the M5s especially have got so many different modules, go into parking assistance system. So it's sometimes a little bit hard to find, but yeah, you can do a full scan, and I suppose you would find it, but obviously it take you a long time on one of these because there's about 1 million modules. Okay, so now we know everything's okay in there. The fault code is cleared, parking sensors are working. We can put the rear bumper back together. I'll probably time lapse some of it because you already know where the fixings are because I showed you on the removal. But let's get that back together. Just be careful when you're lifting the back bumper on. It'd be helpful if you had someone to give you a lift, because you don't want to touch this part of the bodywork with the bumper as it goes in. You could scratch it quite easily. So you want someone to just guide this in place for you. I'm on my own today, but I seem to have done all right. But it's always helpful if you can get a buddy just to guide it in for you. Okay, guys, there you go. That's us all back together. So the only thing to note really when you're reassembling it is maybe leave all of your bolts slightly loose until you get your panel gaps right, because obviously there's a little bit of adjustment in it, and once you're happy, then tighten them all up completely. But apart from that, pretty straightforward. Not a bad job to do at all, really. I can't imagine the touring is much different to this. But yeah, if guys have got any tips, please leave it down in the comments. As always, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.